Hi, and welcome to the latest installment of Important Papers in Sociolinguistics. I'm C.D. Covington. I'm a linguist and a science fiction writer. This paper isn't exactly sociolinguistics, and it's more interesting than important, at least as things stand right now. But I'm going to talk about a paper called The Sound of Swearing: Are There Universal Patterns in Profanity? By Shiri Lev Ari and Ryan McKay. It was published in the Psychonomic Bulletin and Review in December 22, and I think it's an interesting subject, and my essay on swearing in sci-fi and fantasy was one of my most popular on Tor.com, so it's a topic people like. Also, check out the video I made about it, which I'm going to link somewhere. So, before we get started, I need to talk briefly about sound symbolism, because that is the concept that underlies this paper. Sound symbolism is the idea that certain sounds have something inherent to them that resembles the meaning or gives them a meaning. Uh, The entire concept of sound symbolism is controversial in linguistics because it goes against Salce's principle of the arbitrariness of the sign, which I discuss in a bit more depth in my video on Embassy Town. But in short, there is nothing inherent to the sound pen that makes it a type of writing instrument. This paper starts off with a nod to nerds, citing Star Wars, Star Trek, and Battlestar Galactica, and their made-for-TV cuss words. And it suggests that when writers invent alien profanity, they may rely on their intuitions about what makes swear words offensive and transgressive here on Earth. And it's this intuition about what makes swear words offensive, beyond their meaning, of course, that drives this study. Some studies in the past have suggested that swear words across languages are rich in plosives, the pa, ta, ka sounds, and start with fricatives, fas and sas, while sonorants are less likely to be there, la, ma, na. So the authors came up with a two-stage study to test the hypothesis that some sounds are more frequently seen in swear words than other sounds. So I like the way they set up their study. The first stage was to get 20 speakers of 5 typologically different and unrelated or distantly related languages to provide a list of the most vulgar words in that language, whether they're used as an exclamation when injured or frustrated, or to insult somebody. The 5 languages they chose for this were Hebrew, Hindi, Hungarian, Korean, and Russian. Hindi and Russian are both Indo-European, but they are not closely related. The other 3 languages are members of 3 different language families, and this means they got a fairly diverse sample of languages, but notably, there are no African, Austronesian, or North American indigenous languages represented. They only kept words or phrases elicited from at least 2 of the 20 participants, and they removed racial slurs. So, to verify that these were indeed profane, they recruited 20 different speakers of these same languages to read the lists and rate them on a scale of offensiveness and whether they're in common use. So, once they had their confirmed set of swear words in 5 mostly unrelated languages, they compared the phonemic distribution of these swear words to the Swadesh list for languages. A Swadesh list is a set of 100 core vocabulary words like eat, drink, mother, father, sun, moon, and it's used often for documenting languages. So they coded the phonemes by sets. Plosives, the stops, the pa, ta. Affricates, your ch sounds. Approximants, like your r's and l's. Sibilant fricatives, your s's. Non-sibilant fricatives, so you're like thus. And nasals. Then they did statistics, and the only group that was underrepresented in swear words was the approximants. That's the la, wa, ya, ra. And now that they've got a baseline idea that one group of sounds, the approximants, is less likely to be found in swear words, they move to stage 2, which is actually 2 studies. The first one tests whether speakers are sensitive to sound symbolic associations, and they do this by making up pseudo words, also called nonce words. This method is fairly well accepted in linguistics, and if you've ever heard of the WUG test, all the words in the WUG test are nonce words. So they recruited speakers of 6 new languages, Arabic, Chinese, French, Finnish, French, German, and Spanish. I think I said one of those twice. To participate in a study. I love the name they gave the study on the site where they recruited the participants. How good is your sweardar? So the participants were told that they would hear pairs of words in different languages, and that one member of each pair would be a swear word. However, none of the words were real. All of them were nonce words based on actual words from 20 different languages. The words were in minimal pairs. They differed only in one phoneme, like bat, cat, sit, sat. And this is good because it reduces confounding variables, because you only want to test one thing at a time. If you test too many things, there's too many questions, right? So you have shit and brick, they're too different, right? That can confound your data. But if the pair is shit and wit, there's only one difference, so there's only one variable. Uh, and when they made up the minimal pairs, one of the words always had an approximant and the other always had an affricate. Again, this is to minimize variables, but also the approximants were the only group that was underrepresented in the swear words in the first stage. Remember? So they're the group that's being tested against, our kind of control group, if you will. So once they had this data, they did more statistics and found that participants, regardless of native language, were less likely to choose the word with the affricate. About 63% more likely to choose the affricate as a swear word, so the ch over the ra. They included French speakers kind of as a foil because the French swear words have approximants in them often, like merde and putain. And even the French speakers, it's this teal group here, chose the affricate 63% of the time. So this suggests, according to the authors, that there is probably some sort of cognitive bias playing into it, rather than anything to do with linguistic knowledge as such. So they could have finished their study here, but they did more, and they looked at minced oaths in English to test whether approximants were more likely to appear in the minced oaths. Because if approximants are perceived as particularly inoffensive, one might expect that when altering a swear word's sounds so as to render it more suitable for polite company, speakers will be particularly likely to introduce an approximant. One thing I enjoyed about reading this study was that sometimes it sounded like they were characters from a Jane Austen novel. So how they did this was taking all the words from the Oxford English Dictionary that had euphemism or minced oath or some variety of that in their definition, excluded variations on God, Jesus, and Christ, because those are offensive for different reasons, and Cockney rhyming slang. So this left them with 67 minced oaths derived from 24 swear words, and the authors said in the study that they verified this to be all the ones listed in the OED and on Wikipedia. So it's a small set, but it's complete. So then they took this list and counted the number of approximants in the minced oath and the original, did even more statistics, and determined that the approximants were more likely to appear in the minced oaths than they were to appear in the original swear words. So that is 29 times in minced oaths versus 12 in swear words. So about half the swear words had one to start with, maybe. So, in sum, these two authors found that approximants are less likely to be present in swear words than other categories of consonant are. They suggest that sound symbolism has a broader functional role than has previously been appreciated because it may extend into broader pragmatic functions. I'm not sure I can get on board with the suggestion that using words rich in approximants may help defuse tense social situations. It seems a bit of a stretch. But if people want to try it in conflict resolution seminars, I don't see how it could hurt. Their second suggestion, however, that in the discussion, that sound symbolism can facilitate the pragmatic expression of emotion, attitude, or arousal, seems on an instinctual level to make sense. So obviously we need a lot more data before we can say anything is real. But it is true that it feels a little more satisfying, right? And of course, big sticker on this one. There's the inherent transgressive nature of the word fuck that provides some of that oomph. But maybe there's also something nice about that harsh sounding velar plosive at the end. One thing I appreciate about the article is that they say outright that their findings are probabilistic, not deterministic. That is, it's a statistical pattern that exists, not something that will absolutely appear in all languages ever. And they do point to cognitive bias as a potential reason for this, because language has evolved over thousands of years, and so have swear words. So it could be coincidence that the swear words have the sounds that they do. And I don't know if we ever can truly know about the phonemics of swearing, but we can certainly describe the statistics about it. But one thing we do know about swearing is that the meaning that they bring is why they're swear words in most languages. But if you haven't watched my other video about cussing, go take a look at it. But I think this was a fun paper to read. The descriptions of statistical methodology made my eyes cross, and it's only about 12 pages. It's a really short paper. It's free to read online. It's open access. The link is in the description. And I'll leave you with this last bit of the paper, which shows that the authors are also probably nerds. Right, so thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, share it with your friends. Like and subscribe and all of that stuff. And I'll see you again soon.